The operation mode keys are the most commonly used keys and should be thought of as how you control the function of the machine. They're located in the upper right corner of the keypad. There are 6 basic operational modes, which are shown by the pointed keys on the left-hand side of the operational mode keys. Each of these arrow-shaped keys alters the machine function, such as motion and response to your inputs. The rectangular keys on the same row generally modify the operational mode on that same row. The operational mode keys should be pressed prior to the buttons on their right. The mode sets the operation condition, and the rectangular keys on the right generally set how that condition is used. Of course, like everything, there are exceptions, such as the coolant key, which will toggle the coolant on and off regardless of the operational mode. Let's look at these keys in each of the 6 modes. To help make the grouping obvious, this presentation will use a color code with each group. The 6 groups from top to bottom are Edit in the top row, Memory, MDI, which stands for Manual Data Input, Handle Jog, Zero Return, and List Program mode. Now let's discuss each of these 6 modes in detail, then we'll look at the keys that modify the modes. The Edit mode is used to write, edit, and alter NC code in the machine interface. The operation of the Insert, Alter, Delete, and Undo keys are only active when in the Edit mode. The Memory mode is how you'll run programs on the machine. In this mode, the machine will step through the commands of your complete NC program. The keys to the right of the Memory button will alter how the machine processes the program, including in graphics mode for the next generation control system found on our mill. The MDI mode, or Manual Data Input, is where you can write and run short snippets of code for machine setup, as well as use pre-programmed operations for the tool probe on our mill. Some of the keys to the right do not relate directly to the MDI mode, but operate independently. Let's move down to the jog system, but first let's talk about jog. Jogging refers to the manual moving of a machine component. On both the mill and the lathe, you'll use the jog function for setup and maintenance daily. The handle jog mode allows you to manually move an axis by using either the jog keys or the jog wheel. You'll use this function for virtually every machine setup. The keys on the right of the handle jog button set increments of movement representing 1 tick of the jog wheel. In the 5th row is the zero return button, which is used to return 1 or more of the machine axes to the 0 or home position. And the last of the 6 modes is the List Programs mode, which is used to move programs from external storage, such as a USB key, into the machine memory. It's also used to designate the active program which will run within the machine memory. Next, we'll look at each rectangular subkeys for each mode, starting on the top row in the Edit mode. As we discuss these rectangular keys, I'll highlight the mode switch if that key is used only in the corresponding operational mode. For an example, the Insert key is only active if I'm in the Edit mode, so the blue Edit mode key is shown highlighted. First up is the Insert key, which inserts text from the input bar into the cursor position when you're in the Edit mode. Next is the Alter key. This allows you to change selected text in the program with a keypad entry displayed on the input line. It swaps them. The Delete key will remove or delete selected text. And last on the Edit function row is the Undo key, which will step back to the prior condition and undo the last typed entry, very much like Control-Z does on a computer. Next, we'll move down a row and look at the keys associated with the memory mode. After selecting the memory mode, you're ready to run a program. The keys on the right alter the method the program will run, and the single block key will tell the machine to step through the program 1 command at a time and pause. Each time you want your next command to proceed, you'll hit the cycle start button. We will use this key to prove out portions of programs and slow automated operation of your NC program during checkout. When you're in single block, you'll see a single mode icon appear in the lower portion of your screen as shown. Graphics mode is on the next gen control mill only in this location. This mode will enter into a graphics mode where no motion will occur, but the toolpath is traced on the screen, which is useful for proving out simple programs. For classic control, this is labeled dry run, which is not frequently used in our environment. Option stop tells the machine to stop motion whenever it sees an M01 code, and the option stop toggles this feature on and off with each press. It is a useful way to build pauses into your NC program and to verify tool changes or other operational checks. When the option stop is off, the machine will ignore all M01 codes and continue operation uninterrupted. When option stop is toggled on, you'll see the option stop icon appear in the lower left corner of your display. Next is the block delete. Block delete will ignore any code, blocks, or lines with a / at the beginning of the block. This is a useful way to stop coolant operation throughout the program if you place your M08 coolant on command with a preceding /. Selecting the block delete will then turn the coolant off throughout the program for prove out or dry run conditions. The block delete icon will appear whenever the block delete is toggled on. Next, we'll move down to the MDI function row. In the MDI row is the coolant button. This button will cycle the coolant on and off in all operational modes and does not need to have the MDI key pressed first. Similarly, the handle scroll will place the jog wheel into a scrolling operation, particularly in the offset page, without pressing MDI. In the classic control, this key is named Orient Spindle, Mill, or Spindle Jog for a lathe. In these modes, it will rotate the spindle to a fixed position or a fixed rate for special operations when using the MDI mode. We don't typically use the spindle jog function on our ST lathe much. The ATC forward and ATC reverse will move the tool changer one position either forward or reverse while in the MDI mode. If you enter a tool position, such as T10, and then enter the key, the tool changer will move the shortest direction to that tool position on the mill or in the direction selected on the lathe. You will frequently use these keys loading tools and setting up parts in conjunction with manual jogging of the machine axis, which is the next row. On the lathe, this button is labeled as turret forward and turret reverse, but the operation is as described. The handle jog units are selected to set how far the machine moves with the jog wheel or how fast with the jog push buttons. The largest movement is 0.1 inches per tick, or 10 inches per jog wheel revolution, and the slowest is 0.0001 inches, or 10,000ths of an inch per jog wheel revolution. You should always set your jog units deliberately with each selection of handled jog, and start by moving the wheel slowly to avoid inadvertently hitting fixed objects. When I say clicks of a jog wheel, I'm referring to one division of the jog wheel. The jog wheel is divided into 100 units, and you'll feel and hear the clicking of the wheel. It is important to remember that you can command motion faster than the machine can achieve in jog, and in that case, it will continue to move after you stop the wheel, and the machine will catch up. For this reason, always start turning the wheel slowly and speed up only if you have a large distance to cover. Slow your turns and decrease your distance per increment as you approach fixed objects. From the left, these increments increase by a factor of 10, with the smallest division of 1/10,000th of an inch per click. Next is 1,000th of an inch per click, then 10,000ths of an inch per click, and last 100,000ths or 1/10 of an inch per click. On our milling machine, the highest increment available is locked out. Use caution when jogging at high rates, because the machine may not keep up with your jog wheel and may continue moving after you stop the jog wheel to catch up. Below the handle jog row is the zero return row. The zero return keys all return one or more axes to the home or zero position. The all zero return key moves all axes to their zero position, or their machine zero. The home G28 key is very similar, except it will return all three axes to the most positive position. For the X and Y on our mill, or the X and Z on the lathe, that is the zero position. For our carousel-equipped mill, this will result in the Z-axis moving above zero to approximately a positive 4.5 inches or so, the uppermost travel and the limit that's used for tool changes. The origin key, when pressed in conjunction with an axis key, can zero the operator position readout. This may be useful during setup of tools and offsets. Unlike the other zero return keys, it does not command a machine movement, but just resets the operator reference. Last, the single key will return a single axis to zero by entering the axis in the input bar prior to pressing the single key. You can also use this in conjunction with a home G28 key, as well as to return the single axis to the most positive position or home. The last row on this keypad is the list program row, and this deals with moving programs into and out of the machine memory. The list program select key will place the currently selected program into operational memory for execution. The list program key is also unique in that it opens a submenu in the display which allows you to transfer programs using the function keys F1 through F4. Transferring a program into the machine onboard memory is different than selecting the program to run. The active program will be indicated on the list programs page by the letter A in the classic control or a small asterisk in the next gen control. These two arrow keys allow you to navigate forward and backwards through a history of active pages, kind of like a browser forward and back button. This is only offered on the next gen control of our VF2 mill. On the ST10 lathe classic control, these are labeled transmit and receive buttons, and they're not used with our shop configuration because we don't have our machine on a network. Last on the list program row is the erase button. And the erase program key will delete a selected program from the machine memory or clear the screen in the MDI mode. You'll rarely erase a program off the machine memory, but if you need to do it, the HAAS control will ask you to confirm your selection since it's not recoverable. Now that's a lot of keys to look at, but by grouping them by function, you can see it's easier to understand their commands and operations. You'll need to watch this portion several times and work on the machine and simulator to fully understand these keys.